and it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts mainly because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
Welcome back to the show. It is your girl Sarah and Hiba right here on Relaks Radio. Now you're tuned into the sunrise, and we're super excited to be here because we're talking about, apprenticeships. We're talking about education. We're talking about universities and how someone actually went ahead and said, you know what? There's actually too many educated people in the world out there. Okay. Guess you got a problem with that then. All right, I guess. But that was what was said, and that is what we're currently discussing as well. So we're super excited to be here. Now, if you have any thoughts, if you have any opinions, or also if you disagree with us, please go ahead and text us on 078 we would love to have a conversation with you as well. So don't forget to do that. And Hiba will actually tell you how you can get in touch with us through our socials.
Hi guys, so if you want to drop us a line, make sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you want to tune in live to our shows, you can tune in on YouTube live, and also the Relaks Radio app, available on Android, Google, and the Apple Store.
Exactly. So it's really easy. It's super convenient as well. So don't forget to do that. And before we head into the conversation, I want to very quickly talk to you about how Scotland is finally free. All right. And the reason we're going to be talking about that is because all of those restrictions that were in place actually were lifted for Scotland yesterday. And I think it was pretty amazing because I saw people just going out and having fun and absolutely enjoying themselves and having, an amazing time. But also at the same time, it's important for us to keep in mind that the pandemic is still there. We haven't eliminated the pandemic. It's still there. Coronavirus is still lingering among us. So maybe calm down a little bit, wear your mask, socially distance, sanitize, do whatever you have to do to make sure you stay safe and protect yourself and your families as well. Okay. So don't forget to do that. Now let's actually head back into the conversation. Now, Hiba earlier was just talking about apprenticeships. So maybe if you could tell us what exactly you were saying earlier so we can, tell everyone who's joining in now as well what we were talking about.
So an apprenticeship, right? Wait, everyone knows what an apprenticeship is. So apprenticeships are really not as sought after as they used to be, unfortunately, but that's because of the lack of awareness to them, the difficulty to apply to them, the fact that they're not as accessible as they once were. And I think it's more than just that, though. Like, we have all grown up with the belief, like, I know I very much grew up looking towards, my older siblings, my older cousins, and seeing them go off to university. And I just thought, you know what? I want to do that instead. Little did I know. Little did I know the emotional turmoil. But it's not just that, though. Like, my mom would constantly say, Hiba, you know what? You're going to go to university. Hiba, go to university. Go to university. No one ever said, maybe you should do an apprenticeship. No one ever said that. People feel like, studies have shown that people are afraid their parents won't let them. People are unsure of where to find them. And they also don't think that their teachers would approve, which I find weird because I don't care about what my teacher says.
I mean, sure, yeah, my teacher taught me, but I think the rest of my life depends on what I do, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree to what you said as well. And earlier, you know how you said how there's a lack of awareness, there's a lack of information, and how that's like a big problem. That's the other thing, right? Because you yourself said that when you were trying to apply for apprenticeships, it was so complicated, and you found it really hard because you didn't know what exactly to do. And I think this is one of the biggest problems we have, right? Even though this is the 21st century and it's like the digital age and literally everything is there on the internet, when you actually need to find information about things that are very very crucial, you can't find anything, like nothing. Like, come on, man, this is
It's
your job.
it's so annoying because like Google has billions, if not trillions, of like information, and then I go in to type one sentence, and all of a sudden it doesn't know anything.
I
Where is
know.
where is the fairness? Okay, why is the vibe wrong on this search engine?
Honestly, that is so true. I mean, even I can't count all of these instances where I've had to find like really crucial information and I can't find it. Like, so you decide to let me down at the most important time in my life? Really? I really depended on you and you're letting me down now? Okay, okay, I guess. Cool.
I totally agree with you. It's betrayal of the highest calling. I would like to speak to Google CEO because I feel pain. Feel pain. That's all I can say.
Honestly, right? But like that's just the truth. So apprenticeships, it's not hard to find, or I'm not saying it's not hard to find, it's not hard to get into, but I guess in a way it is. I can't really say it's the most easiest as well, because like you said, you have to have an amazing CV, and it has to basically be spot on, right? It's not like a lot of us, for a lot of us that's not really achievable, because if you think about it, look, I've read research on this as well. Multitasking is really bad, so if you're doing studies, you should probably just focus on your studies and not do sports, right? But again, that's just a joke. But really, don't not do sports, because we just said that. But honestly, you get what we're saying, right? So basically, when it comes to these apprenticeships, a lot of people worry, and I feel like a lot of people think, oh, you know what, like, do I actually need an apprenticeship? I can just get into university. And they sort of tend to look down on people who have apprenticeships, right? And I've seen this a lot as well, and I've come across a lot of people who do this as well. Why do you think it's like that?
I think with that, it's like personally, I've seen that firsthand. What you've spoken about, I won't lie and say, oh yeah, I've never thought that, because at one point I did, but I've educated myself since, and I
Yeah.
think that it all comes down to like we've grown up thinking education means you're better than everyone, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. I think in terms of that, I think it's just like very backwards thinking, because I don't like I'm just like personally, I would say like I didn't want to not go to university because my mum worked so hard to come to this country. My mum worked like really hard to get a job to make sure that was provided for, and I feel like I felt like if I didn't um if I didn't go to university, then what was all of that for? So it was really a
Yeah.
lot of guilt, and I feel like that's the story for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree as well. It's like, when your parents have struggled so much to like give you the kind of life you have, to give you the kind of all these things that you enjoy right now, the fact that you have a good house to live in, the fact that you have food, when you like think of all of that, you inherently feel like you owe your parents something for all of that which they did for you, right? Which is,
Yeah.
the exact same feeling I have as well, right? And therefore, like, I think because of that, a lot of us are incentivized to sort of go to, not incentivized, but most of us feel much better if we'd go to university than actually go for an apprenticeship, right? And another reason I feel like people look down on apprenticeships is, more often than not, more of these apprenticeships are based on jobs like sales or marketing. And especially when you live in a very competitive society, I feel like that more often than not, you tend to look down on people who do hard labor, right? And I'm not just talking about, sales or marketing. I'm talking about, people who help with constructions and all of that, right? This is also, a big minds a big problem that we have, because this sort of mindset is actually, it's very detrimental, because at the end of the day, you might look down on them and say, you know what, like, I don't want to end up in that position. But the truth is, if it weren't for those hard workers, if it weren't for those hard laborers, we can't actually be in the place where we are right now. And they're very essential for a community, for a society, for a country to grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know absolutely what you mean. I completely understand you. A lot of these apprenticeships are for more like, sales, marketing. It's not for things that are specified, which is, I think, why people go to university.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they want to do particular jobs and they need particular degrees for that, not knowing that you could find particular apprenticeships for the same thing. So
Yeah.
really and truly, I think most of the reason why people are struggling to find jobs is because the university degree that they have, the marketplace is not like advertising enough for what that university degree can get you. And then I think it's like resentment when you look down on someone who is like doing an apprenticeship and you're like, well, why, like, you're just doing construction. Like, no, that's not fair, because at the end of the day, they still get a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. And this thing that you said about how some of the jobs in the marketplace don't really match the sort of degrees that we have. That is also one of the biggest problems that are there. And it's not just here in the UK. You can see this problem in a lot of other countries as well. There's this huge sort of gap between the degrees that you do and the jobs that are available in the market, which don't really match. So there is this sort of mismatch between the degrees and the jobs that are available, right? However, we will talk about all of that. But right now, we're going to head into a small break. And after that, we will be back to keep talking more about this. So until then, make sure you stay tuned.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account. And then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies and then you step up into different things.
Welcome back to the show. It is Sarah. I'm Sarah. That's Hiba, obviously, and we're here to keep you company in these final few minutes until the clock strikes 9. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned because we're having a very important and interesting conversation as well. And I'll very quickly tell you that you can get in touch with us on 078 text us, call us, let us know what you're thinking. And Hiba will very quickly tell you how you can get in touch with us on our socials.
Hi guys, if you want to drop us a line, make sure you hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can tune into our show live on YouTube and also on the Relaks Radio app, now available on Google, Android, and the Apple Store. Yes.
Exactly. So that is what it is, and it's super easy to get in touch with us and share your thoughts and ideas with us. But now let's actually head back into the conversation. So earlier, Hiba and I were just talking about apprenticeships and how people tend to sort of look down on certain jobs and whatnot, right? And then after that, we spoke about how exactly there's a huge, or rather, there is a significant mismatch between the degrees that are offered in universities versus the jobs that are available in markets, right? So let's actually get into that conversation. Now, something that I've personally felt is that you have a lot of degrees in, in university, obviously, and there's a wide range of it as well. You know what? And, for some of it, I'm not even like complaining because some of those degrees actually make a lot of sense. But while that's the case, there are a lot of other degrees that don't really make a lot of sense either, right? And the thing is, children actually tend to spend money. They tend to spend a lot of money as well on some of these degrees, and they don't really help them even when they go to find a job, right? Which then in that case, you can't really say that it's the children who are wasting the taxpayers' money, but it's in fact the universities, because you're having these kind of degrees, you're having these kind of courses that actually don't really have any impact when these children are going to the job markets, right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, we've got a lot of children coming out of we've got a lot of people coming out with debt from university, and they don't know what job they can get because no one ever informed them, oh, in university, which because of your degree you could get this job and so on and so forth. There is no list, if you know what I mean. Like when you go to apply on a university for a specific subject, I feel like it should be a requirement that university has like a list of jobs in which you could pursue, because it's unfair. Like, you're sending me into the world blind. It's like, it's not fair.
Yeah, that's really, really true, right? And I saw this somewhere else as well, but I think it's in in the US, where they basically have, for certain degrees that certain universities offer, they basically have like, oh, if you get this degree, you can get this kind of job. For example, say if you do economics, then you can get into finance or sales, stuff like that. That I think that happens in the US, but I'm not too sure about that. And you know what? That's actually really, really true as well, because the truth is, it's again, this whole exploitation, it's just a vicious cycle, and it just keeps continuing, right? Because we're not really taught how exactly all of this works. We need to find it out ourselves, and then when we finally choose a degree, or we finally choose a course, even through that we tend to get exploited because we're paying exorbitant amounts of money just to go to university, and in the end, the degree we have isn't even getting us a job, right? Now, another question I had was, how when this whole thing happened, the whole pandemic happened, and people had to do classes online and whatnot, but they still had to pay the full university fee, even though they were at home and they were doing the classes online. What did you think about that?
I was blown away. So I actually wrote about this for my creative writing class. I thought it was like to be honest, I thought it was silly because I could pay 9 grand a year to go to university, but I'm not going to university. I'm not even using like a laptop facilitated by the school. I'm using my own. Like I don't understand. I'm not using the library services. I'm not coming into uni. I don't get any like I don't have my own personal like handmaid or like tutor with me.
Yeah.
Like why am I still paying this money? I am still going into debt for something that like I cannot control. I mean, I didn't create coronavirus. Like why do I have to pay the toll by like I can understand the lockdown, but
Yeah.
you're not making me pay 9 grand a year to sit in my pajamas in the living room. It's not fair.
Honestly, right? Yeah, I was thinking about how crazy that was too, because honestly, you're just at home. So why are we still paying that same amount? Maybe if it was at half price, then you know what? I would have completely understand, right? And I understand that the university has, they have their own costs as well. But if all the children are not going to university and everyone's at home, I'm pretty sure some of those costs are cut down as well. So then,
Yeah.
why are why were we being charged such exorbitant amounts? That was a big problem as well, right?
Yeah. We should have been offered discounts. It was not fair.
Honestly, and let's face it, okay, during this pandemic, things have, the prices of things have increased, right? Obviously because of inflation and stuff as well, right? So imagine if you come from a family where both your parents lost their jobs, or your primary or not caregiver but rather the breadwinner lost their job. Then it would have taken a lot of, I mean, that would have been a lot of a struggle on that family as well, a huge burden on that family, because you still have to pay those exorbitant, university fees, but also try and keep everyone afloat during a pandemic. So in a way, I guess that's like the absolute worst way in which you can, I don't know, think about someone's feelings during the pandemic, think about everyone else's struggles as well. And actually, if you think about it, they're not really thinking about you, they're more
Yeah.
thinking of themselves, because you still had to pay these huge amounts, right? So it's quite clear that with the pandemic, there has been this added burden of finances, but also mental health, you know,
Yeah.
on university students, especially given the fact that university students, how you have mental health services when you go to university. Children haven't been able to get that. And obviously, they've been worried about their futures with regard to finance and stuff as well. So that is a whole other problem altogether, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, universities, they boast constantly about offering all these mental health services, like specialized therapies like CBT. But here we are with a serious mental health issue going on with all of the like most of the youth. I know none of us were exempt from the struggles of mental health, and it really made it difficult knowing that the university that I go to, I was not taught how to properly, I had to go through like a call center, and then I had to like um essentially I basically had to try and find the holy grail just to find information about mental health services in school.
Yeah, yeah, that's terrible, right? But that is what the conversation has been about today, with regard to education, whether there's too much education, whether there's too little education. So make sure you stay tuned for Jamie, because she'll be on the chat trap next. But Hiba and I will be out of here now, because obviously we have to head out of here. Bye. We hope
Bye
you have an
guys.
amazing day.